I'll admit that I have a preference for freight trains over passenger trains, and that my preference is reflected in my model train collection. But don't get me wrong, I still like passenger trains, even if they are in the minority on my layout. And this story involves two of those passenger locomotives in particular. One is a relatively new HO model, manufactured by Cato, number 19. The other dates all the way back to 1998. This is locomotive number 46, manufactured by MTH as part of their Premier line. I've had both of these locomotives for quite a few years now, but despite all that time, I've hardly ever done anything with either of them. And that is unfortunately because they both suffer some kind of big condition that has prevented me from being able to run them properly for a long time. Whether it's a dead Protosound 1 battery in the case of 46, or outright not being able to run on VCC, which I didn't realize with number 19 until after I already got it. And so, because of these big flaws, both locomotives have just been sitting in storage or static display for nearly the entire time that I've had them. But I didn't really want it to be that way. Both of these locomotives are not only pretty expensive, both of them are several $100s, but are also, honestly, really high quality locomotives, especially for my standards. They're well detailed, 46 has a great sound system, by my standards, even if it is Protosound 1, and they're just all around nice engines. And even though even engines like these won't last forever, what am I supposed to do? Stand idly by as time marches on and these locomotives continue to never run again for the foreseeable future? I figured that, given how quality and well-made these engines are, I might as well try to get them back on the main line. Back in the day, I didn't have nearly as much money to spend on trains as I do now, so I felt, what better of a time than to try and get them back nowadays? And so, we finally get to the actually good part of this story, where, with a little bit of help, after many years of inoperation, I am pleased to say that 19 and 46 are back in service.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is number 19's first run since returning from Randy's. I've already started building a little passenger station area in anticipation for it running because I knew that since it's back in operation, I can now have passenger operations. So obviously I have my depot. I'm gonna be putting some platforms here to make it look more like a station. But Randy told me to set the locomotive address to number 19. Start it up, press 8. And there we go. Thank you, Randy. Hallelujah. Let's get this thing running. Look at that. What are your thoughts on the new establishment?
And just like that, for the first time in quite a few years now, passenger service has returned to my model train layouts. Like I mentioned earlier, this was mostly possible thanks to my local train store, Randy's Roundhouse. Randy was the one who was able to fix up both of my P42s, put in new decoder, new battery, made all of that possible. So big shout out to Randy's Roundhouse. Check him out if you can. And this is just, it goes without saying that it's great to have both of these engines back, partly because before I had these engines back, my freight engines basically had to substitute on all of my passenger trains if I wanted to run a passenger train. So to have an actual passenger engine pulling a passenger train again It feels great, so I don't have to rely on freight engines all the time. So, yeah, obviously, it goes without saying that I am absolutely ecstatic to have both of these engines back in service once again. I'm sure they will look great alongside the freight trains, especially the new editions.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have new O-scale engines. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. This isn't just a big deal because there's 3 of them. This is a big deal because, I'll be honest, I haven't gotten a new O-scale engine since March of 2020. It's been almost 4 years. So, clearly we've made up for that time. As you can see, we have 3 MTH diesel locomotives, 2 -9s, an SD70 Mac, and also a piece of rolling stock, an Atlas Premier Grand Trunk hopper. And this is not my first Atlas O freight car, but it is my first Atlas O Premier freight car, so we'll also try that one out as well. Anyway, let's get started with these. These are all Christmas presents, yes. And I got all of these off of eBay. It opens up this way. And these are actually some of the first MTH Premier engines I've got since 46. Because for a long time, 46 was my first and only Premier MTH Premier engine, but now, of course, that's changed. Hallelujah. If I can get it out. This is the SD70 Mac that I'm opening. I will make a confession, I do have a preference for EMD, or no, other way around. I have a preference for GE engines over EMD. I know people might cancel me for that, but it's true. But don't get me wrong, I do like EMD engines, and to be honest, I would consider the SD70 Mac my favorite EMD diesel. Partly because I see them a lot. If I can get this open. Okay. Alright. Here we are. We have some foam. Oh. Okay. Okay. Actually, let's try it this way. Oh, here we go. Alright, here we are. And you might... Oh, yep, you can see it. You might recognize this livery. Now, how does this thing open? One quick moment. Oh, here we go, here we go. Oh, yeah, baby. It's the SD70 Mac in the BNSF executive paint scheme. Now, living in Nebraska on BNSF territory, I see these executive Macs quite a lot, so this is amazing to actually have a model of one. Especially, I quite like the executive scheme, honestly, and this is my first engine in that scheme. And like I said, the SD70 Mac is my favorite EMD diesel, so yeah, this looks great. So I'll put this onto the layout, but yeah, first I'll put this on the layout, and then I'll come back for these other 2 engines that we have, both GEs. Alrighty, the next 2 engines are both -9 diesels, and the -9 is another one of my favorite diesel locomotives. And which one should we do? We'll do the Union Pacific one first. Now, the interesting thing about this locomotive is that it's actually a non-powered dummy unit. Now, you might be thinking, train person, you imbecile, why did you get a dummy which doesn't even run on by itself? Well, that's because model railroading, as anyone who is involved in it knows, it's a pretty expensive hobby. So, the fact that I am a teenager
who's trying to get through school, being an expensive hobby, those don't go together well. So having a non-powered dummy unit allows me to experience some of the nice full-scale detail of O-scale locomotives without having to forfeit all of my wallet. Only half of my wallet, because usually they don't cost as much. It has the nice MTH Premier packaging. I haven't really been able to experience this much. I know for most people, MTH Premier is a day-to-day thing, but for me, this is a luxury. So this is what it feels like, huh? Feels great. Anyway, I'll shush. Oh, yep, here it is. Like I said, this is a Union Pacific -9. Great to have more Union Pacific engines. We'll get some foam off of this, and then we will get to the final locomotive that we have in this little Christmas haul. And now it's time for the final locomotive in this little Christmas haul. This is also an MTH-9. Technically, it's not a -9, but it just calls it a -9. This is actually the General Electric AC4400 demonstrator. At least that's the paint scheme that this locomotive is in. And this is a bit of an older model. I think it's like late 90s, early 2000s. I think it has Protosound 1. And I should also say that the SD70 Mac has Protosound 1 as well. Here's the instructions. This scheme is actually the demonstrator, which is the engine that I got. I would honestly consider the AC4400 my favorite diesel locomotive. Yeah, I know that nobody asked for that bit of information, but I gave it anyway. Alright, here it is. Ooh. Here we are. Ooh. Okay. Oh. We have more foam to take off of it, but here it is, quite weighty. The AC4400 demonstrator. So, let's get the foam off of this one. I'll also unbox the ground trunk hopper just off camera, and then we'll have a bit of a little deeper look at all three of these locomotives.
And so, after all the dust and the styrofoam has settled, here are our three new diesel locomotives. And I gotta say, these look amazing. I mean, you already knew I was gonna say it. These things are really cool. I got all three of these engines off of eBay. I might have already mentioned that. So some of them are kind of used. I noticed that with the SD70 Mac, which is numbered 9400, you can see that its right number board is missing, but I mean, that's just a small thing. I'm not too put off by that. It's just a small thing. But overall, these three engines all look amazing. Obviously, like I said, Premier line is kind of a luxury for me. So just to be able to see these full-scale models is just really cool. And I think that they're die-cast. I don't know, but these things are just so amazing. And they have like separately applied chains. I don't know. Stuff like this is why I really like O-scale, because you can have stuff like those small details and a lot of separately applied things. Of course, it costs a lot more, but I mean, if you look around long enough, especially on places like eBay, you might be able to find some good deals. All three of these engines cost a little over $200. That was my budget. I didn't want anything over like $230. So yeah, but I think that for the money, these were all really nice engines, and I don't know if I could pick a favorite, because I mean, I have a lot of things that I can do with all three of these, but if I had to pick a favorite, I might have to go with the Union Pacific -9, because I just really like it. It's a nice, big Union Pacific GE, which is exactly something that I've been looking for. It just looks amazing. And also, it's another dummy unit, and I already kind of talked about dummy units and how they're a great way to enjoy a detailed full-scale model for only a fraction of the price. I mean, you're sacrificing the whole powered aspect and the sound, but I mean, in my opinion, it's worth it. And I do have another O-scale dummy unit, which is a Lionel Burlington Northern SD40, so I can have this with that. But anyway, as great as these engines are, I bet you're asking, do they run? I mean, it's obvious that the dummy doesn't, but let's try the other two. They're both equipped with Protosound 1, so let's see what happens. Alright, this is the demonstrator's first run on my little O-scale layout. I'm definitely going to have to fix it up just because I was getting ready for these three engines to come, so I've kind of been moving things around. But let's fire it up for the first time and see what happens. Oh wow, that was loud. So yeah, it's kind of just idling right now, but yay, it actually works, thank God. This thing's got some good sounds. If you can even hear me. Can you hear me? I don't know. I might have to make more room for this, but yeah, they got some good sounds coming from this. Let's shut it down. Oh, it doesn't have a shutdown sequence. Maybe that's because I'm using a different transformer. I knew that I knew that 46 had a shutdown sequence, so I don't know if this one does too. We can try it. I had a temporary Christmas tree layout, which is what I was running 46 on, so we can run it on that and see if anything different happens. But let's try out 9400. Cover your ears. Ooh. Ooh. It's got slightly different sounds. I like that. This is a loud one too. Ooh. We got the horn to work. Oh, man. I know this is just Protosound 1, but this is really good. I'm having fun with this. I don't know if the transformer can handle it, though. Yeah, we'll have to see. Okay. It must have had a dead spot or something. That or the transformer just couldn't take it. This is a different transformer. I already said that, but yeah, just so you know, that's a different transformer. It's not anything with the engine. So, yeah. Those are our two Protosound 1 engines. They work really well, thank God. So, yeah, that was awesome. Oh, man. Yeah. I like these. I like these a lot. They're fun. I'm gonna enjoy them. Alright, it's been several days now since I first got these new engines. I've been tinkering around with them a bit, running them, getting a good look at them just to see all the little detail. And I have been running the demonstrator here and 9400 a bit more. Obviously 9400 isn't here. I have it upstairs on the little Christmas tree layout, and that's where I've been running it. And I will say it's been doing fine on there. We have had to work out a few little flaws, like one of its traction tires broke, so that might have explained part of why it wasn't running as much. initially, but now it's managed to get a move on. It might be a little bit long for the radius of curves that I have, but for the most part it's been doing all right, I think. It makes good crew talk and all that, so it is a nice running engine, and so is the demonstrator number 2001 here. It's also been doing well, I would say. And the Dash 9 9709 has also been doing pretty good, even though it's not running. I've been looking at it, and of course it has some really good detail. You can probably just see, just by looking at it, all the little writing and markings on it. And I'm pretty sure that the front door on it actually opens, which is a pretty cool feature, considering that I'm pretty sure that's the first engine, the first model that I have that has that feature. So that's really cool. And also, like 9400, there are some little teething troubles that we have to work out. Like, I noticed that one of the ditch lights on the front of 9709 kind of popped off, so I'm gonna have to get it back on there, but we should be able to do that. It should be all right. And yeah, overall I'd say I still really like these engines. I've been having fun with them, and I think that I'll be able to enjoy them for a good while. I don't really know much else to say. Once again, special thanks to Randy's Roundhouse for repairing 46 and number 19. They're still working well, and so it's great to have passenger service back and the freight service expanded upon. And all of this has made me really think back to how I've been wanting to expand my O-scale lineup for a while now, because if any of you have been watching my channel for several years, you might remember how for a long time I've been wanting to expand on my O-scale layout, and I've made multiple videos about it, but I just never really made any good progress. All of the times that I tried just went nowhere. It was just a big flop every single time. So to now see it all come to fruition after all this time, it's quite a moral. And I know this might sound corny, but this is living proof of it. Even if something doesn't work out the first time or the first several times, that doesn't mean that it'll never happen. Even if it does take several years, this is proof right here, because I never expected this. I mean, I kind of did, but not really. But anyway, yeah, there's the sentimental talk, but it's still nice though, just to see this all finally working out after all this time. Anyway, I guess I'll just leave that there. I know I'm a bit late, but Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you had a happy holiday. If I don't post again in 2023, I wish you a Happy New Year. God bless. I'll see you whenever I post again.